Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Army condemns violence under Simon Ekpa and urges global action. The Nigerian Army has strongly condemned the brutal treatment of innocent citizens, including a retired ex-corporal, Tirola Adewale, by the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and the Biafran Liberation Army. The Army has called on international organizations such as Amnesty International and the International Criminal Court to hold Simon Ekpa and other IPOB leaders accountable for these heinous crimes. Now, joining us to discuss this is we have a guest. Also, I would just like to add that the Nigerian Army has also urged Nigerians to stand united against IPOB's terrorism. But joining us right now to discuss this is Emmanuel Ikule, is an executive director at Elixir Trust Foundation. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, guys, welcome back to my channel. We are back again. Here is a video that we want to write on because the lie is too much. The lie is too much, and we need to debunk some of this nonsense. First of all, if you are new, please subscribe and like the video, share it so that others will get to watch the video. Okay, the guy that I talked about, which is the person that PM released for gave out like as a gift to do good people. If you follow the news, you understand what I'm talking about. That is the guy that just flashed on the screen. He's not a retired soldier. He's not a retired soldier. They just want to use that to a kind of wipe away shame. That's why I see it, because I don't see any reason why Nigerian Army and the government of Nigeria will go through that way, trying to, like, there's no shame in, because this is the army versus army, even though they're trying to avoid mentioning the Biafran Liberation Army, but that's what it is, okay? And it's not as if people are not aware of what is going on and what has happened, the reason why things are the way it is, and who is actually terrorizing who. So if you want to solve problems, you don't need to start by lies, and everything is not about propaganda. That's why I say it, because as a Biafran, as somebody who lives in Biafra land, who come from Biafra land, you don't need someone to tell you what is going on in Biafra land, because everybody can see it, even non-Igbo tribe, non-Biafrans, people that are living in Southwest that want to be honest. They can see through the actions of Nigerian security agencies, and it's not as if it is, only on Biafra land. Nigerian security forces are known for torture and, inhuman treatment to anybody. But the issue of Biafran people and in Igbo land seems to be different to compare others, because of who we are and the hatred that all of us can agree that everybody don't seem to see you as the way they see themselves. Anyway, let us allow the man that she just invited, she just called upon to talk. But all I can tell you is that this lady also is one of the problems. But I don't need to tell you, let's hear what they're going to talk. Just listen.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so I think I would just like to start by asking, we've seen what's happening in the north, in the south, right, in the east, the southeast of Nigeria, and there's just been a lot, because we're hearing of people being killed, we're hearing of sit at home, we're hearing of so many things that's going on. But I want to ask that you give us a brief overview on what's happening and how it has led up to where we are today.
Okay, when you try to look at the situation in Southeast, it's more than just a one-off thing of just the current happening of maybe the IPOP group trying to hurt somebody. It's more than just that. Southeast generally have been excluded from a lot of things, from access to leadership, access to opportunities in the country at large. And this has been long since the time of independence till date, from the time of civil war till date. And in trying to address issues like this, it requires more than just a condemnation. It requires a dialogue, because a lot of their leaders actually have not been happy at the way things have been. This has been years, not just 10 years, 20 years, 30, but this is about 50 years or more. And they are excluded from a lot of things. The young persons are suffering. And also, if you look at the way and manner that the army or the military have handled interventions in Southeast, it has not been similar to the way they have handled issues with even Boko Haram. There have been a lot of killings, be the military killing young persons and referring to them as IPOB leaders. No law permits killing of citizens.
Yeah.
So it's not because maybe other persons are torturing people that it becomes a crime. And when the military tortures people, it's allowed. That is not so. Administration of Criminal Justice Act, Anti-Torture Act of 2017 actually prohibits all forms of torture. Even in times of war, torture is being prohibited. So, but this, when you come to Nigeria, these things have been happening over and over again. We cannot count the number of persons that have been murdered by the military in Southeast. So certainly when this thing continue happening and reoccurring, certainly the people at one time or the other may also get tired of being abused, and they may start to find ways to actually retaliate in one form or manner. So for me, I'm saying that this has happened a lot of years. A lot of their leaders, Southeast leaders, have complained, and traditional religions and all that have complained over time. But the federal government have not actually tried to actually address this concern. Most times it has just been army intervention in those areas. And when you overlook a lot of dialogue, a lot of things that should have been done, and move straight to army intervention in such an area, it only becomes problematic. So for me, a lot of things have happened there. A lot of killings, a lot of denial of resources, access to leadership, a lot of exclusion. Even when, in short, a lot of things have happened over time. So in addressing such situations, there are better ways. Dialogue must happen. And if those things, because even the IPOB groups and the rest, there have also been maybe some requests at one time or the other, they have to be a dialogue to be able to address these concerns, because war and every time using force will not be a solution in this particular case, because it has lingered too long. And if the military has not been able to address it this way, then it means they have to be an other way, an alternative way
So what are
of
those,
addressing this concerns.
do you think that they've never, sat down to have this dialogue? What ways do you think that would be effective when it comes to addressing these concerns? Because these are people's lives we're talking about. And if we're talking about the Southeast, I'm sure there are also people who are from there that have been killed as well. A lot of times you hear of these killings, and the people who are from these states. So why are they not listening, or who's not doing the right thing here when it comes to addressing the concerns of the people that has obviously led to IPOB doing all of these heinous crimes?
As you can see, after all the things that this man said here, trying to explain things that is going on in Southeast to this lady, she still went on and said that IPOB are committing this heinous crime. Heinous crime in terms of what? Defending yourself. The man just told you that army are using force where they shouldn't have used force. Telling you that army have gone from house to house, taking people, kidnapping people, and sometimes in most cases, these people don't return back to their family. Do you understand? The news that was trending years back, I think 2 or 3 years now, that news trend before the case of Matamaka, and he repeated it again, that there's a kind of secret business going on in Southeast where people are harvesting human, condemns, some private part and all that, in the same region. And the bishop that was kidnapped few last time, I think it should be almost a year now, or a few months ago, that bishop confessed or gave a testimony of his own experience in the hands of kidnappers that flew people away from where they hold him. There's a checkpoint there, meaning that they are the one facilitating the move of these bandits and kidnappers. And you know all those things. It is in the news. As a journalist, of course, you know all those things. But if they choose not to talk, simply because they avoid the same culture that this man is talking about, because even them journalists are scared of government and security agencies. Like the way they're using DSS today to threaten people, go after people, that kind of thing. The intimidation is there, the harassment is there. So when you sit on your own studio, you are as a journalist and you are broadcasting and all that, you don't want to be real. Then That means the problem we are talking about have gotten to that extent that no freedom of speech is prohibited. This is not a military regime, this is a democratic regime, but they want to push everything, to paint everything the way the government wants it to be, which is a very, very, very dangerous move. The man tried by pointing out some of the things, some of the key things that is causing the problem. Army checkpoints, harassment, after engaging the Biafra Liberation Army. I thank the lady somehow by mentioning the Biafra Liberation Army because at least some of them are now getting used to the name. Not ESN, not IPOB, all this nonsense they're talking about. Full focus on the issue at hand. Stop, making it as if you are confused, you don't know what is happening. It is very, very clear. Everybody can see it.
Okay, over the years, there have been complaints of, I said earlier about explosion in
Yeah.
leadership.
Yeah.
This has been a major concern. Why has there been opportunity for somebody from Southeast to lead? When you are talking about the three major tribes, you are talking about Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa. Then why is it that Igbo, and consistently, even those in leadership, the comments they have made concerning people allowing those from Southeast to lead has not actually been welcoming to some ears. So for me, yes, at one time or the other, there are certain times you hold an event, but people look at it like more like a political affair than seeing the sincerity of people in it. So for me, if the government really is serious, the federal government should sit, even with Simon Ekpa and other people. They have things, reasons why they are doing what they are doing. It may be bad, but to them may be appealing. So at one time or the other, there have been terrorists. I know there have been one time or that they have arrested terrorists in the north. They have many times they have given things like amnesty to some persons in the terrorists and criminals in the north. There are times they have done similar to south. I feel it's high time the federal government also try to rework things. Sit with the governors. Every community has leadership, has gatekeepers. Be it religious, be it traditional, be it political. They should sit, even if it's a private meeting. This has to happen, and then maybe find terms of agreement or how to resolve this issue. Nigeria is for everybody. It's not just for some persons. And as I said earlier, unfortunately, the military have been able to go for peacekeeping in other areas and in other countries and have observed certain standards of intervention. But as regards intervention in some areas, particularly in Southeast, it has not been according to standard. That's why I started by saying there have been a lot of killings. Yes, there have been also counter responses from people living in those areas, or should I say from IPOP. But there are better ways of doing things. When you go to the field, if you are fighting, having an engagement with terrorists and you kill them in the process, is a different issue. But in the situation where people are moving about their normal businesses, or you go into people's house, arrest them and murder them, certainly you'll be expecting that there will certainly be a form of counter attacks from such persons. So in this particular case, I suggest they have a sit down with the federal government. They have a sit down with the traditional rulers, the gatekeepers, and have a common what should be acceptable and what shouldn't be. If that happens to a large extent, some of these concerns will be addressed, because it's not everybody that welcomes the issue or what has been happening there. Generally, nobody is happy with killings of citizens. Nobody. So, if that step can be done, that will be able to calm nerves. At the same time, if opportunities, really like employment opportunities and all that, and if they can also be stop the criminalization of people from Southeast, it will go a long way of saying that yes, we are being excluded from access to resources. But now, because of this seat, that we have opportunities now that we can aspire to whatever position we wish for in this country, and we can be accepted. Then if it gets to that level, there will be no need. I believe there will be no need for IPOB again, because what they are advocating for, access to leadership, access to resources, will already be available to them.
Sometimes I wonder where they're getting the information from, because IPOB or Biafrans are not asking access for leadership. You see, I think It is always good for you to pay attention to the problem before you try to offer solution. If you don't understand the problem, you are not going to offer any solution. What he said that he's trying to, I can see him that he have a good heart. I mean, he trying to make peace. He want a good environment and all that. The leadership you're talking about, the government you're talking about, are not even willing to dialogue or sit down with any at all. Do you think that Biafrans, Simon Ekpa, Biafran Prime Minister, or even Mas Namadokan, do you think that any of these leaders have this kind of, disagreement when you call them for, for dialogue? No, nobody is running away from dialogue. At the end of it all, it's gonna be around them. Have to sit down and discuss. We agree on. Everybody knows that. But sit down to talk about what? When you don't even understand what the problem is all about. You don't want to understand what Biafrans actually want. The time of protest and looking for what you can offer, negotiation, it is now your turn as a government to make a move for the negotiation. The time of Biafran telling you, okay, let us discuss about this is over. And the earlier you get this into your head is better for you, because as a journalist or as a reporter, you need to equip yourself with the current information. Some people actually believe that the reason why Biafrans are fighting now is just one reason only, to reason as American. No, there was something that Biafrans were fighting for something before the kingdom of American. What is that? That thing is freedom of Biafra. Freedom in every ramification, not to give Igbo man a president, not to make Igbo man prime minister, not to make because it's not about Igbo. And that's another thing they don't even understand. Some of our brothers that come from the so-called South, from Calabar, from Akwa Ibom, from River State, from Delta State, even Benue, all those areas that have been marginalized and subdued because they perceive everybody as Igbo. So you think that giving a P2B or anybody from Igbo land a president, we grant, we automatically give happiness to Biafrans? No, nobody is asking for your political power anymore. Nobody's the Biafran highlight that as one of the reasons why the marginalization is very, very clear. Does not mean that that is the only thing that Biafrans need. So you yourself actually said here that Nigerian security are not getting it right, which is true. We all know that. Anybody says otherwise is a part of the security. You must be part of it. Is either your husband is one of the security, or you yourself is the one, or maybe your brother or your uncle. There's something must have, or maybe your own hatred on Igbo people is second to none. So you enjoy it when Nigerian security force go out there, kill people, which you actually want to, you want to see. You want to make sure that Igbos are get killed and being destroyed and the properties are being, seized and burned down. You get the joy. So people like that, we are the one clapping for security agents. Do it. Go on. They call them agile and whatever. All this is. We know that. So the hatred is there. There are series of reasons why army do what they do. One of it is hatred on Igbo people. Two, just to exterminate the nation Igbo. They have tried it in the past, they failed. They're trying to do it in another, using a different mechanism, using a different style to do it and to achieve that thing they want, and also to grab land. We know those things. But seeing somebody who should know better acting as if the only problem that the Biafran want, the only thing they want is, Igbo man having access to power. That's a lie. And even some of us that are not aware of what happened, what transpired during the Biafran 1967, Biafran Nigerian genocidal war, are not aware of it because of the kind of the way you guys are stretching this lies and the propaganda. We have to go out to find out by ourselves, and the news and information is with us. That's not the fact. So that's why we're able to see who is fighting for us and who is trying to milk from us in the issue of DOS and Biafran government in Ezra. These are the Biafrans are not welcoming in this iota of lie. That's one thing you need to know. So as a journalist, you should stop that lie, because Biafrans are asked for total freedom without any adding or subtracting anything. total freedom of our people. That's all.
Okay, so they want the access to leadership, access to resources, equal opportunities. But should violence be the way to make your voices heard? I understand that everybody wants a fair deal for themselves, but is that the best way to go about this? Because we're saying that okay, maybe the military, they're not having the proper dialogue with them, but in the first case scenario, should IPOB use violence? Isn't that threatening, using terrorism to threaten the peace of the nation? Meanwhile, of course, the government is trying to keep the peace.
So there is proper way of doing things.
Right.
Just like I said earlier, the government have faulted in their intervention in Southeast. Then secondly, yes, what the IPOB is doing is wrong. It shouldn't even be in the first place. But when people in a particular area are being marginalized for a long period of time, it may get to that point where they have to sort other means of defending themselves. This has happened also for other locations, be it like North Central, that consistently, if you look at, you tend to also fault the intervention of military in those areas, where maybe because of one attack they go and burn down a whole village. The military shouldn't be doing that. They should be going for peacekeeping or trying to resolve issues in areas, especially when it's within the country. But when those interventions happen and those people that are supposed to be like protectors have become predators, it gets to that point where you start looking at alternative means of defending yourself. Because you reach out to the police are saying the military, it's government permission. Government has permitted intervention in such areas. You reach out to the military, they are the ones carrying out intervention of killing or carrying out torturing people in the Southeast. So when you try to look at the security agencies that you should be reporting to in cases of when your rights are being abused, when the failure of the government to carry out interventions, when it has failed, and then you are reaching out to those that should be protecting you, they are the ones that are predators in this case. It gets to that particular point that even your leaders complain that the government is failing to help you instead of they're punishing you. Then within yourself, you have to find a way to help yourself. It's the wrong means, but this is where we are at this particular point in time. And for these issues to be addressed, they have to be a sit down. Because consistent killing, a house that fights itself cannot stand whenever there's external invasion. That is why issues like Boko Haram will continue to persist. Because within, we have not been, there's no unity within the country. Be it the intervention of security agencies in certain locations. Let's not forget that before even independence, during colonial times, there was what they called, should I say, martial tribes or thereabout, where you put tribes that normally they are at crossroad against each other. So you carry people from the north to come and police the south, you carry the south to go and police the north. Those interventions or those type or archaic intervention has still persisted till date. And if you are thinking about unity and thinking about saving lives, then they have to be a sit down, especially when you want to seek peace. And when the people you are coming to them in the aim of intervention see sincerity of people's from your intervention, they will be forced to work with you. But people are even scared that even if they give intel to you of such interventions, you go back and still point them out and they'll still become suspect in cases like this. Interventions like this have also happened in Yobe, where citizens came out to report to the police and military that there are certain persons that are involved in Boko Haram and the rest, and still the same persons were arrested and freed the same days, and they went back and murdered their fellow relatives because they reported them.
You see, the lady is still making the same mistake again, ignoring the activities of army, and at the same time trying to question the response from the indigenous people and from different liberation army. I am not bothered about her opinion about what she think about Biafrans or Igbo people. The only thing I want to say is that if you are trying to protect government or security agencies from what they're doing, at the same time, remember that you are actually putting yourself in danger because it could be you tomorrow. There's no guarantee that you are not going to receive the same similar thing, the same nonsense. Most people in Southeast that are serving as saboteurs, selling their people out, one or two of them are still have been the victim of Nigerian security. The same people that you are calling to go after other people, they will sit on around against you because the way they see all of you is different from what you yourself are thinking. I don't want to go further to talk about this lady and her own opinion, but this guy actually exposed something here, just like what he just said now. That in Yobe State, somebody, a relative, reported Boko Haram member to Nigerian Security Force, and the same day they got the guy arrested and released him the same day. And this guy went back and tied his relative that called police or army for him to be arrested in the first place. The question is who arrested him and who released him? Because what people don't understand is that the issue of Boko Haram and banditry and Fulani herdsmen are well planned from federal, from those northern politicians. They are the ones that hold the affairs of federal government and Nigeria today, holding the key, the spare key, master key of the country for Britain. So whatever they want to do, they will do. Today in Zambia, it is very clear that Zambia, they say it's forest. Zambia now is just like a country on its own, governed by Boko Haram. Red Cross are going there to take care of the wounded fighters, who are the one calling Red Cross. Remember, Red Cross is not Nigerian organization. It's an international organization. Who call them? Who approved their presence in Zambia to treat Boko Haram? They are going there for medication to give assist, humanitarian assist to terrorists. So for you to know that everything is well planned, and the person that confessed this to us is in the public, and not another. The video I published that video here on this my platform. The man actually said that he mentioned the people that use their money to make sure they protect, to fence those areas. Anywhere you have natural resources, these northerners will make sure they plant insecurity there just to bring their men to dominate that land for future use. That tactics is still not getting in the minds of those Afonjas and fake journalists and all that. But some of them may have the knowledge, but out of fear they choose not to talk about it. Who knows? But truth cannot be subdued like that. It's a matter of time. It will still, burst out and people will see it as well. So tell me what you think about all these things, and let us hear the another question that this lady have for this guy before we end this video.
Just some weeks back, there were still bodies being still carried and towed, about 100 in vehicles in Yobe. Because of what? So these are similar situations.
Right.
If we really want to be sincere, then we have to disassociate ourselves, first of all, from criminals, I mean security agencies. And then in working in areas, they should work not because of personal hatred for a particular tribe or personal grudges they have in the past, maybe by leaders, because sometimes they are used to push agenda by the leadership, those in leadership. So there must be a sit down to address situations like this.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because on one hand, if you're being abused, you definitely want to defend yourself. Obviously, violence is not the case, it's not the way to go. But we just hope that the military, all of our security agencies, they're ensuring that these people are safe. The safety of the citizen is imperative for everyone, and we hope that even people who are in government are giving the equal opportunities to these people, so that they don't feel marginalized and they don't now take hands or take action when it comes to terrorism and criminality. Because at the end of the day, all we just want is a very peaceful Nigeria, and hopefully we'll get that. We're seeing what's happening in the north, we're seeing what's happening in the southeast now. There's just a lot going on, but hopefully we'll become one Nigeria again, and everybody would live together happy for a long time. All right, Emmanuel, I want to say thank you so much for coming. It was so nice discussing this with you. Thank you.
Yes, that is what we are praying for, and hopefully we'll get there.
Amen.
It is funny that the lady actually admits that defending yourself is inevitable. That's at least I may forgive you from what you said, at the beginning of the video and even in the middle, but at the end part, you are now admit that somehow it is good to defend yourself. That's what Biafrans are doing. Nobody is happy to, nobody will drive joy in buying anybody. No. And that is what we need to be, we have to be bringing it to you so that you will understand it, will get to you. It will sink in your memory and your brain that nobody is driving joy in killing anybody. Nobody is advocating to kill anybody. We want to be, we want to live peacefully, and and see our neighbors, of course, to live the way we want to live. But we cannot control your region. We have to control our own. So whatever you do in your region, that's on you. We must not be the same. And the issue of living Nigerian, being together in harmony, and live as one Nigerian and all this nonsense is not possible. Even if you make a wish, but it's not possible. I tell you why. The Osman Danfodo's agenda is different from the one you have in the South. You yourself, as a Christian, you don't want to have a feudal system. You don't want to, carrying plastic plates begging for food and all that. You don't. There's a way you are wired to live, and you cannot deviate from that. That's what they want you to do. They want to change everything in you, and even the time of slavery is better to what they want to, the way they perceive it, the way they see you. It is better to, during the time of sending people from. It is even more human than what they want to bring to you. So don't think about it. Don't pray that kind of prayer, because you don't know what is awaiting for you. What this security I see now is what part of it. If you want to live in as one Nigeria, want to promote Nigeria, my advice to you as a woman, or even as anybody, get a visa to Yemen. Okay, spend 2-3 years in Yemen, and I want to hear your opinion in making Nigeria one again. If you can do that, then I will listen to you. But if you cannot, no, you are talking to yourself, you are lying to people, and it's a very, very dangerous thing to do. Thank you guys for your time. I really appreciate your time. Please, before you go, like the video and tell me what you think about all we've discussed so far. Subscribe if you are new, of course, and see you again on the next one. Bye bye for now.